Thank you for hanging in there. Sorry for the delayed start. We were having technical difficulties, but I promise you it was worth your wait. We have a special guest this evening, and this evening I welcome our guest, Miss Antonique Vincent. And just to say a little bit about Antonique, she's there smiling and looking beautiful. But just to say a little bit about Antonique, we are talking about fitness, body and soul, transforming ourselves from the inside out, and kicking off health. And what better person to have on than a personal trainer, a fitness expert. So Miss Antonique is a NASM certified personal trainer, weight loss specialist, and fitness nutrition specialist. She earned her bachelor's and master's of science in exercise science and has 10 years of experience in the fitness industry. During her childhood and early adulthood, Antonique struggled with her weight as well as her self-esteem and body image. Using her education and experience, she lost over 70 pounds. You all hear that? 70 pounds. And she's maintained the weight loss to this day. She believes that fitness journeys are a unique experience for each person and that one size does not determine healthy. So amen to that. So we certainly want to welcome our special guest, our fitness specialist, Miss Antonique Vincent. So Miss Antonique, I am so happy that you're here, and this topic is so relevant and talking about, and what better person than someone who's walked the journey themselves, transforming the body. So before we dive into discussing this, I want to give the floor to you to be able to share your story, because I really think our viewers will be blessed. And viewers, as she shares her story, if you have any questions or comments, please chat in. We want to hear from you. So I give the floor over to you, Miss Antonique.
Well, first we make sure you can hear me again.
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you.
Well, once again, thank you so much for giving me the platform and the space to speak about something that not only do I have professional experience in, but personal experience in. So as Natalie mentioned, I am an NASM certified personal trainer, weight loss specialist, and fitness nutrition specialist. NASM stands for the National Academy of Sports Medicine. It's one of our highly ranked, highly tiered governing bodies for personal trainers and fitness professionals. It is not an easy test to take. It is not an easy study guide. To God be the glory. I passed it the first time. I'm not the test taking person. I think because I get really bored easily in standardized tests and I just start making stuff up. But my journey, I feel like, has been so unique, especially because I did not expect or anticipate to be in fitness at all. I was going to school originally to be a physical therapist. But when I found out you needed to take gross anatomy, I said, oh, no, honey, that's not for me. I don't no. So then I said, well, what is the next best thing? So at my college, they offered exercise science, and they had mentioned you could be a physical therapy assistant. You could work in phase 3 and phase 4 cardiac rehab, which is typically going to be for people that have had heart attacks and strokes, just getting them back to their daily living. Of course, personal training, fitness training, all of that great stuff. But I struggled with my weight for my entire life. I've probably been trying to lose weight since I was 13 years old. Like, I remember we would go to the library every Saturday, and I am from gorgeous Prince George's, so I had my PG County library card. And I would get books about losing weight and how to lose weight. I was 13 years old, and I would sit up in my room and I would exercise as hard as I could because I felt like I had to look like everybody else that I went to school with. I felt like I had to look like everybody with television. And at the time, I was going to the doctor, and the big word that they were saying all the time was pre-diabetic. And as a child, I didn't understand what that meant, but my parents knew what that meant. But when you're a child and your parent is telling you you're pre-diabetic, you still don't understand the severity. that. So then when I got into my college years, I think my insides were so terrible because I felt so bad about myself because of the way that I looked. It started to show on the outside. And I carried a huge chip on my shoulder from probably the time that I was 19 years old until maybe I was about 28 or 29. Just feeling like I had to prove something extra to other people. I was, an angry person. Even though everyone loved being around me, I knew there were things about myself that weren't good that I would kind of feel like, why do y'all want to hang out with me? I'm not a very nice person because I beat myself up so much. Or before anybody could talk about my weight or the way that I would look, I would punch myself out first, so that by the time you came to punch me out or make fun of me, I already made fun of myself. So what you were going to say wasn't going to make me feel bad. But I think my turning point, and I would also go to church and pray. I would say this prayer all the time: Lord, let this year be my year that I lose this weight. I would pray, honey, something.
Oh my goodness.
Call for altar call, and they would say, does anyone need prayer? I would go up there and literally, God, help me from 13. Lord, help me lose this weight. And I would always wonder, God, there must be a reason why it's not happening now. It must be a reason. It must be a reason. And so I had earned my personal training license in 2015, and I moved back to the DC area because I went to college in Delaware. I moved back to the DC area in 2016, and I got my first full-time big girl fitness job. I'm making benefits, 401k, all that stuff. And I will never forget, I was teaching classes and everything, and my supervisor had to do a 6-month evaluation on me. And excuse me, he would get feedback from the members at our gym. And there were a few members that commented about my weight, that said things like, well, why is Anthony even working here? She needs to work on herself, or she needs to keep up with us in class, or things like that. And it hurt me. It really hurt me. And in my head, I said, I got something for y'all, because my insides were not that, I was trying to prove something. My fitness journey was never about truly being healthy, but it was always trying to prove something, whether it was trying to prove to my parents that I could be healthy, or prove to people at school that I could look like everybody else, or, that I just could be the best person, what other people wanted me to be. But needless to say, I went on lots of different trial and error diets. I did the keto diet, which was probably the dumbest thing for me to do as a Jamaican.
Yeah, we got a little delays, so we'll give her a second to come back. We'll give her a second to come back. So while her internet is loading, we got a little bit of a glitch there, and we lost her for a second. But I want to share with our viewers, while we're waiting for her to come back, a clip, a before and after photo of Miss Antonique. And I want to share this with everyone so everyone can see it. And this is a before and after of Antonique, and her, when they say that the expression a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is certainly what it is. So let's see. Miss Antonique, you back?
Yes, I'm back. I'm so sorry. I don't know
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was sharing with the viewers while we were waiting for you to come back your before and after picture to show the viewers just how the picture chronicles your journey from where you began to where you are now. So you can continue to share your story. I just have your before and after picture up so our viewers can see it.
Oh yes, definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much. But like I said, I had gone on different diets. I did intermittent fasting. I did the keto diet. I went vegan the first time in 2017. Now I'm full vegan again. I have some moments where I struggle, but God is working on me. I did so many different things to try to lose the weight. And I noticed that as I was losing the weight, it's like I wasn't happy. I wasn't happier. I wasn't the person that I thought I would be. And it honestly took maybe within the last 2 years for me to realize I have internal work that I needed to do. I needed to love myself in every single facet of who I am, from the way that I write my name to the way that my cheeks curl up when I smile, to the way that my hair kinks, to the way that, I have not lost the weight in the sense that society would say that I should be looking 5 years into a fitness journey. But I had to deal with some inner demons, some things that I was blocking myself, just so many things that I've had to work on that I think going within the pandemic, which was a big building year for me within my esteem and my self-love, that I feel like I understand now why God was like, no, you weren't ready back then. No, then wasn't the time. No, you gotta work, boo. You gotta work. So
absolutely.
It was a very trying journey. But I'm so blessed for the journey that God took me on, because I can understand what somebody else is going to go through on their journey. Too many times you have personal trainers that they've been small their entire lives, or they were athletes, and they don't understand what the struggle is when you tell yourself, I'm only going to eat 3 Oreos, but you end up eating an entire sleeve of Oreos.
I've been there. I'm guilty too.
So, and I have clients that have experienced that, and they get so down on themselves. But I say, no, I've been there. I too sometimes will eat an entire sleeve of Oreo cookies, but it's about how you hop back into your journey that makes the entire difference. Because some people let that one setback keep them off of their train of wellness, and then they're waiting for the next train to come back. So, so yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I think you shared so many great nuggets in sharing your story. And I thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing and just being transparent, because it's such a how we look, our appearance does affect how we feel. And it is everyone. And the more I talk about this subject over the years, informal circles, hearing it in informal circles as well as formal, it really, everyone struggles with it, whether they have the ideal body type or not, which is ironic. But those who have the ideal body types, depending on where you are, but at least here in America, it's more of a Eurocentric standard of beauty, where it's, fair and thin, and tall. But, in coming from the American experience and speaking from my experience as a Black woman, as a woman in general, it's very challenging. And so do you think society, what do you think society have us believe about our bodies? I mean, some of these questions, you kind of answered this question, but I definitely want to pose that out there, and also want to give our viewers a chance to chat in, and also ask questions of Antonique, ask ask questions of us. I certainly want to make sure I'm opening it up to our viewers to do so. And if you're just joining with us, this is a platform, and we have Antonique Benson here, who is the owner and founder of Uniquely Fit Training, LLC, and she's telling her story, and we're talking about body and soul transformation in a system, and so she certainly have lived it. So again, I'm going to pose this question to you again, Ms. Antonique. What does society have us believe about our bodies? Will it be women's body, or even men go through something too, believe it or not, but they do. So what is society telling us about our bodies?
I'm so glad that you brought up men, because a lot of people forget about the pressures that men also have to deal with when it comes to their body image as well.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I have seen, society has always put us in this frame of mind that the thinner you are, the healthier you are. The thinner you are, the better opportunities you have in life. The skinnier you are, just life is so much better being smaller. And that's not something that anybody should do, because that leads to what's called the female athletic triad, which is a series of different eating disorders: anorexia nervosa, bulimia, as well as a slew of other things. And men struggle greatly with anorexia and bulimia as well. But society literally tells us, if you have curves, if you have a little bit of booty, oh no, that's not healthy. You need to lose that. One of the big things that I know a lot of the listeners probably have dealt with going to the doctor is dealing with getting on the scale and they do your BMI, or your body mass index. And that's something that in this time, in this decade, going into this 2020s, it's been shown that the BMI is racially inaccurate, as well as time period inaccurate. It does not consider the fact that some ethnicities do carry a little bit more body fat in certain areas. And most of the time, not even just ethnicities, just different body types carry body fat completely differently. Because, for example, we could take a football player that is a running back. Running backs are usually shorter, a little bit stockier, but they're very muscular. It would look on the BMI that they were obese. But we know, looking at a football player that's a running back, they're nowhere near that. They're very lean, very cut, all of those things. So body mass index does not take into account body fat percentage. It would even say that a Serena Williams is overweight or possibly obese because of her weight, the number on the scale compared to her height. So I always suggest to everyone that goes to the doctor, make sure that you get your vitals done, make sure you get your blood work done. That's the true determinant of health, in my opinion. But society truly wants us to believe that, oh, that number on the scale is too high. You're overweight. You're obese. It's a shame. It's truly a shame. It's been like that for decades. And luckily, there is a group of fitness professionals that are trying to change that narrative. Will it take more time? It will. But especially for Black women, society really puts us at the very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to health and when it comes to body image. If you're a little bit more curvy, you're deemed as overly sexualized. But a woman that's a little bit smaller, it's like they have a more wholesome image because they don't have a little extra hip or a little extra curve in their body. So society it's terrible, and it's hard for anyone to be able to wake up and feel comfortable in their skin when they're constantly getting pictures and views, and now social media.
Oh wow! Yes.
Of this is what the ideal body looks like, and this is what an overly sexualized body looks like. If your body type looks like that, you're nothing but a Jezebel. If your body looks like this, you are as wholesome as God created heaven and earth. Like the way the society just does us is just a injustice. It's a disservice, honestly.
And I thank you so much for bringing up so many pieces there, because it's about not only misinformation going out to the masses about what truly is healthy, what truly should be, and throwing out these myths about healthy equals skinny, and that's not the case. That's not the case. And I know from as a nurse and from coming from a medical perspective, on a metabolic level, you may have a normal BMI, you may have low fat percentage, but on a metabolic level, you're unhealthy. And you can also be larger, have a higher, it may even be overweight, even BMI, and be in a healthier place metabolically. And so there's a lot of misinformation and myths to go out. And what strikes me is how early this misinformation, these images, and what they mean come out and affect children. Speaking for myself, as young as my children are in elementary school, I mean, as early as kindergarten, they were saying, oh, I look fat in this, or, I need to lose weight. And I felt bad about that because I thought, I was like, my God, is this something that I'm saying or doing that's giving them this impression and I'm like, scrambling and like, oh, no, don't say that. We're going to be healthy. And so I had to even think about my own perception, my own body image. How am I dealing with the skin that I'm in, the weight that I have, and the self-loathing and the things that I do? I have to check my own self and say, wait a minute, Natalie, maybe you don't need to say those things around your children, because I have girls and it's affecting them. But what are your thoughts about that? And then after you share your thoughts, I want to go to our viewers, because our viewers have some questions and some comments as well.
I think that is a very deep thought to have, especially when having young girls. Young girls are so impressionable. I used to work in an elementary school. I was like a before and after care person. I would hear some of their conversations too about, I'm so skinny, I'm so this, kindergartners. And I think when I started to realize that the way that the media pumps health and fitness and wellness was working with them and teaching them that, one, you're too young to be thinking about that, number one. Your job is to be a child. Your job is to not think about that. But I would flip the narrative and I would say, no, you're not skinny. You can aerodynamically move faster than everybody else, or, things like that kids like to hear. I was actually reading an article, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Natalie, about your daughter. But I was reading an article about like different ways to improve your own body love as well as your own body acceptance. And I wrote in, and she said that she was in the mirror the day prior, and she was poking and prodding at herself. And this is something that I used to do pretty often. I would poke and prod and pinch myself and things like that. And so then she said the next day, she happened to see her daughter in the mirror. And her daughter, I think, was in elementary school, pinching and poking and prodding at herself. And she said, that was the realization that I need to change the way that I view my own body, because my daughter is getting her perception of body image, body acceptance, and self-esteem from me. So I have to portray the highest level of esteem so that my daughter is set up for success, so that if she does come across people that, say something about, her being a little curvy or her having a little bit of a tummy, she knows I can go back to my mom and my mom will uplift me and remind me that it's okay. I think that I would say from my personal experience, my mother, I never saw my mother get down on herself about her weight or anything like that. My mom's actually pretty small for most of my life. But as we all got older, I think we all gained weight as a family, which happens. But my parents went on a weight loss journey and they lost a whole lot of weight, things of that nature. And, but my mother never gave me negative thoughts about my body image. She would always just say, make sure that you're mindful of what you're eating, and, making sure that, the pre-diabetic thing. That's what my parents would talk about, as the pre-diabetic thing. But it's very important, again, for us to show up for ourselves before we can show up for others. And that includes mothers too. You have to show up for yourself, build that love up within yourself, have your own level of body acceptance, because how else can you guide your children, your daughters especially, to have acceptance for their bodies, especially in the different transitions and phases of life that women go through, going from childhood to adolescence. Some girls put on weight just in that little block of time. Then going from adolescence to young adulthood, probably put on a little bit of weight there. Then going from a young adulthood to middle-aged adulthood, and reminding them that life is going to happen, but we have
Yes, and childbirth too. Having children, my God.
life is going to happen, but we have to have the tools in our back pocket to remind ourselves that no matter what phase of life that me and my body go through, I am still so beautiful, so powerful, so amazing, no matter what my outer shell looks like.
And thank you for sharing that, Antonique. And I wanted to raise up a question. One of our viewers typed in. She said, "Well, what about the push that we see for younger ladies to have huge hips and thighs and itty bitty tummies? And it seems like we have multiple images going on, and I guess waves about body image, because we have this still prevailing overarching thin or body types are the preferred, but then we also have this other wave that's going on where people are getting the butt implants, the lips implants, breast augmentation. All of these things are going to give them more curves, to give them more, waves, so to speak. So can you speak to that?
I would say I've seen that big boom too. It's probably been within the last 10 years. And I think that makes it even harder to accept your own body, especially as a Black woman. If you already aren't born with those curves and the smaller waist, or you don't have the funds to get the plastic surgery and, all of those things.
Tummy tuck.
It makes it so much harder to look in your mirror, or to pull up your Facebook, or to pull up your Instagram, look in a magazine, look on television, and see these bodies that are constantly, yes, the Kim Kardashian syndrome. Somebody just posted that up there. It makes it so much harder to not love your body and just do the work to make your body better and not be somebody else's body. I think that's one thing that we get stuck in. We want to be somebody else's body so bad because society tells us that body's acceptable, that person's acceptable because they have that body. Now, that's where we kind of get that mixed up. Society is telling us that person is acceptable because their body is acceptable. Well, do you know what their spirit really is? Do you know what they really did to get that body? Do you know what? And I tell this to people all the time. You don't know what ungodly things somebody did to get that body. They could have starved themselves. Like you said, they could have gotten surgery. They could be their inner demons. There's so much that could be within that. And we just swarm to it because society says this is what you have to be. But look at the Kardashians and all the heartache that they deal with. And, look at some of these ladies. Happiness really is not based on your body type all the time. Kim Kardashian is about to be third time divorced. She has a great body, but she's about to be 3 times divorced.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry.
No,
go
you're
ahead.
fine. I was just gonna say it's a shame that it's just perpetuated that, you have a happier, more glamorous life if you look this particular way. But like I said, most of those women look at their lives in the tabloids. It's not that great. I would never want to live the life that Kim Kardashian lives. I wouldn't trade my body to have that type of life at all.
Yeah, amen to that. And I'm so grateful that you said that. And I think about what you brought up about their soul and their spirit being lean. You don't know what they're doing. And we're not, just to clarify, those viewers who are jumping in and viewing us for the first time, where I have Antonique Vincent on, a health and wellness and fitness expert. She's a personal trainer, and we're talking about body image and discussing that and thinking about our body and soul and transforming it from the inside out. And so if you're joining us, that's what we're talking about. I want to hear from you. But what you said, Antonique, about the spirit being lean, we're not making assumptions that because you have a healthy or fit body that you've done something that's wrong or sinful. We're certainly not implying that or making those kinds of assumptions. But when you brought that up, that made me think about that. Like, is weight our physical body? Is it a spiritual side to it as well?
It depends on the person, in my opinion. There are people where they are their size because of maybe some traumatic things they might have experienced in their life, and they use food to cope with that experience. Therefore, they overeat, they binge eat, things of that nature, so it causes pain. I know for me, my coping mechanism was food. I would hide food. Like, always be deemed of, oh, this isn't good for you. You're not supposed to eat this. These are bad foods. So I would sneak and eat those bad foods because I liked the way that they tasted, but I didn't want anyone to know that I was eating it. Or when I was sad, I would hoard candy in my room, even as a child. So some people, it can be attributed to that. It can be attached to their spirit. Their spirit is so damaged that cope that way. Now, other people, it's a genetic thing. Also, for myself, genetically, I'm not meant to be very slim. I am meant to be more curvaceous. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing either. Because some people, like I said, some people are genetically disposed the way that they are. Some people, they've gotten to their weight because of traumas that they might have dealt with within their life. And I always tell those people that if you're attaching food to coping mechanisms, or if you have a specific relationship with food that you've learned, it's very important to reach out to a mental health professional so that you can kind of understand, why am I using food as a coping mechanism? Why is it that every time that I'm sad or something detrimental happens to me, that I have to go to food to be my healer? And a lot of people deal with that. And I think Black people, especially Black women, don't want to admit that we use food as coping mechanisms because it has been deemed for a very long time that it's a white person's problem. White women do that. White women eat. White women, eat their feelings. Black women do too. I'm one of those Black women that eat their feelings. And I didn't come to terms with that until I was in my mid to late 20s.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I think about how I think everything is spiritual. Everything that we do, there's a spiritual component to it, whether we are cognizant of it or not. And I think you are alluding to the fact that, what's going on in our souls, the brokenness in our souls can lead us to do different things. And we might get attached to certain bad habits or negative things, and it can affect us in the spiritual as well. And I think also I'm thinking about the church, and where the church is here to nurture our souls, our spirits, and so many times I just my anecdotal evidence, from what I've seen from our personal experience, that so many times, so many of us have a wonderful soul and spirit, and we're pouring into our spirit and we're neglecting our physical bodies. And we're struggling with obesity or even morbid obesity, and we hypertension and diabetes and high cholesterol, and it goes on and on. These lifestyle related factors, chronic diseases, and we're spiritually ready. We're spiritually hot. We're pouring in our spirit, and then we're neglecting the body and acting as if our body doesn't matter. The state and the health of our body doesn't matter. Viewers, you can speak to this as well. I love to hear from you. Antonique is here to lend her expertise. So please chat in. And actually, we have a question that came in, is what role does faith play in our fitness journey? And I guess I was kind of alluding to that as well. So if you want to answer that, Antonique, I'm putting you on center stage.
I shouldn't answer that question because I know who it is that asked the question. His name pops right up. But shout out to my church family, Mystery Church of God, that have chimed on to the chat today. I appreciate the support, family. Man, I think that my fitness journey and the role that faith has played for me is that God has really used this journey to help me deal with a lot of my demons. One of the things that I have struggled with that I didn't realize I struggled with, I can be very egotistical. I can let my ego get in the way of letting people in, as well as letting my guard down, being open to criticism, being open to change, all those types of things. God had to use me in that way so that I'm able to take in other people and empathize with them and to be able to help them. I will say going on this fitness journey has definitely improved my singing voice. I will admit that. I will say that I can get a little bit deeper into it. I can cry and worship at the same time now, and it doesn't show in my voice. But it has made me so much more open with being so thankful to God for just putting me in the space of finally accepting that I needed to change and that things and people around me needed to change. Not being afraid to say no. That was the biggest thing. Not being afraid to say no, but also not being afraid to get up in church and testify. I think within the last, like when I was really getting in the journey, I was really dropping the weight. I think I testified at church a few times. I got up during sermon and just started talking a few times. So I will say it has made me a lot more fearless. It has my faith has improved so much, and I do my best, even as days get rough, where I don't want to exercise or I start to self-loathe. I just kind of say, I always ask God, like, God, just fill me with the spirit of acceptance. Lord, fill me with the spirit of love for myself. Lord, just remind me of where I've been so that I can really embrace where I am now and so that I can help others. But just being able to just say, God, walk with me on this. Because it's hard. The fitness journey is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I will say it was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of tears. Like I told y'all, I've been praying for this since I was 13. But it's great. And then also, as for women and men too, when you start to lose a little bit of weight and, now people want to start talking to you more and they want to be and things of that nature, I have had to ask God, like, block me from the people that I don't need coming over here just because now I look a little good. I'm always,
oh goodness,
like, Lord, shield me from things that are not for me. So, but my faith was a big part of my journey. It was a huge part.
Yes, and so and I thank you, viewer, for raising that question up because it's so important. It was kind of speaking to what we've been sharing all along throughout this broadcast, that the faith, that our mind and our body is connected, and that everything is spiritual, and so there are different dimensions to our lives, and to spirituality, and to our physical existence, and to how we interact with the world around us, and how we perceive, and even the internal dialogue that happens. There are levels to that. The mind is connected to the body, and the body and the soul is connected to the spirit, and it's all intertwined. And so this weight loss journey, even those who may be viewing and they're on the other end of the spectrum, maybe they weren't battling with weight, being overweight or obese and trying to come down to a healthier weight. Maybe they were underweight because they were doing things to restrict their calories so much so that they were becoming unhealthy and unhealthily underweight. And so maybe they were struggling with some body image there. And so maybe they felt, oh, well, I'm too big, I'm too fat, and they don't eat, or they're taking pills to suppress their appetite, and making them sick, or they're binge eating, and not to be graphic, but they're overeating, and then they're going back and they're vomiting up, and so at a later time. And so these eating disorders, and throwing out there, and and it's funny you mentioned athletes, in the beginning of the broadcast, that many athletes are prone to, they have increased risk for eating disorders because of the performance driven sports that they're in. They're under such fear, not fear, but pressure to perform, and they're always constantly being looked at. Their stamina, their endurance, stats, they're measuring weight, taking it, and so they're under a lot of pressure. And that's not just women; it's men as well. And so they're weighing in every season. Oh, I gotta, coach, I gotta build my weight up, or I gotta lose weight. I'm too big. And so it's a lot of eating disorders that you'll see in the athletic world, and as well as those outside of the athletic world. So I don't know if you want to chime in and say anything about that, or any of our viewers. Please, we want to hear from you as well.
The eating disorders that are in the athletic world, unfortunately, it starts at the childhood level of being an athlete. Typically, I've mostly seen it with wrestlers, gymnastics, cheerleading. Very rare have I seen it in, like, a basketball, football. Sometimes I've heard of little stories there, but men get a lot of pressure when it comes to specific sports, as well as what they need to look as well, to where they will really restrict their eating in order to be in certain weight classifications and things of that nature. As I always tell people, when it comes to the eating disorder, that is something that I would first get therapy for that. I would figure out what is causing me to mentally to restrict my eating and to binge to the point of pain, but also binge to the point of pain to the point of regurgitation. And it can be so many things that causes that. Unfortunately, in sports, it's about image once again. Who has the most cut muscles? Who's going to be on the cover of the magazine? Who's going to be, that guy, of the team, or that girl on the team, or things like that. But I've heard very horrible stories, and I'm glad that more athletes are coming to the forefront about the pressures that they're faced when it comes to their body composition, as well as just their body image as well. But I always suggest and refer them to a mental health professional or someone that truly specializes in eating disorders for men and for women. That's honestly the first step, because it could mean that you might need to go into rehabilitation, depending upon how severe your disorder is, or it may just be as simple as going to a therapist weekly or every twice a week or whatever, what have you. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And, our viewers out there, please, we want to hear from you. Chat in your comments, your questions, like, subscribe to the Prayer Tower Church social media channels. We certainly want to hear from you and want you to be a part of this discussion. And so again, for those who are joining us late, I have Miss Anthony Vincent here. She is a athletic trainer, personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and she's our guest here on the platform as we're talking about fitness, body and soul transformation, and the system that it takes to really, and she's lived it, to transform your body and become a healthier you. And so in that, now I know that when I was younger, and of course, beauty was about being small, very small. And I grew up in a culture that was predominantly white. And so the majority of the viewpoint was, slender is better. But I have noticed over the last, 20 years, we've been shifting to embracing the curvy woman. Being voluptuous, they got a lot of full figured, a lot of adjectives of how they describe women in these body types. But is it possible to be obese, overweight, and healthy? Is it possible? Anthony, can you chime in on that?
It is possible because you want to look at what your blood work is looking like. What are your cholesterol levels? What is your oxygen consumption levels? What does your blood pressure look like? What all of those things. I always suggest to everyone that you get a full blood work done at least once a year so that you're able to make sure that your insides are functioning properly. Now, there is a point where you get to that tipping point, and then your body will start to say, hey, this weight, I can't do it. Then you have to listen to what your body is saying. Some people, they can be obese or they can be overweight and they function perfectly. They can go for walks. Their quality of life is not any different than someone that is smaller than them. Their knees work perfectly. Their joints are awesome, amazing. It's more so about a feeling and overall wellness when we look at what health really is, again, versus what your body looks like. Because you could have someone that is very slender, but they have high cholesterol. They have high blood pressure. They have sleep apnea, all kinds of issues. They don't have enough energy. They're not able to complete work. They have terrible focus. Their hair is falling out, all of these things, but yet society is like, but they're slender, so they're healthy, so it's okay. But the person that is overweight, that does make an effort to go walk every day, that does eat their vegetables, but sometimes, I eat out a little extra during the week, that does, have a good lipid profile, that does have awesome blood work, but society is like, you don't look like that person, so that's not healthy. You can't be healthy. You can't be healthy. And that's something that I even struggle with still, being in the fitness industry, but I'm on the plumper scale when looking at fitness professionals. That's something that it gets to my psyche sometimes, but I'm blessed to have an awesome circle that reminds me of who I am and the knowledge that I have and, the strides that I've made. But it's definitely possible to be obese and to be healthy, but it's more important about, do you feel healthy? Do you know that you're healthy? And are you accepting of yourself? That's the part. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And my question, and of course our viewers, if you want to chat in, we're still taking questions and comments. We love to hear from you. My question is, if you want to get started in a weight loss journey, or just you want to be more physically fit, whether you're underweight, quote unquote normal weight, or overweight or obese, how should you get started? Where should you begin?
It's as simple as saying it's time. It's as simple as saying it's time and telling someone that this is what you want to do. I always suggest it's better to go through this journey with a tribe versus by yourself, because there will be days where you need other people to pull you up. Trust me, I still have days where I need people to help pull me up. But you also want to ask yourself, do I really know what I'm doing here? Do I need seek out a personal trainer? Do I need to join a gym? Do I need to go to my doctor and find out what my limitations are? It literally starts with telling yourself it's time. And then set your goals of, how you want to feel, just even as little as 8 weeks. I say 8 weeks is the best time because that's when you start seeing change in yourself. The world sees a change in you 4 weeks into your journey. It usually takes you about 8 to 12 weeks to see it on yourself. But you really have to ask yourself, am I ready? Am I ready to be disciplined? Am I ready to be consistent? Am I ready to just keep on going? That's the hugest part. You have to say, am I really ready for this? It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be an uphill, downhill battle. But am I ready to let my guard down and do this journey for real?
Absolutely. And a viewer chatted in a question: how does mental wellness and physical wellness correlate?
When you feel good, you make yourself look good. I can say within the last couple of weeks, I changed my eating, but not that much, like a little bit, but others have noticed. They said, "Oh my gosh, you look so good. You look happier." That's
Mm.
the best compliment compared to you look slim or whatever. You look happy. And
And
it's
some,
because
wow.
I've worked on myself. Every morning I get up, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm, hey girl, we look great today. Don't let
Mhm.
anything tell us that we don't. And we're not going to let anything bother us or knock us off or, listen to what God is telling us throughout the day. But having a positive mindset, having a positive outlook on your journey and everything in life that you're about to do really sets you up for success in your physical wellness journey. If you have a negative mindset about the journey or a negative mindset about your right now, it's going to be such a grueling journey. You're going to stop. You're going to fall off. You're not going to want to do it. But if you know that you're doing it for pure intentions, for positive reasons, and most importantly for yourself, it makes the journey that much sweeter.
Yes, and then can you think of can you share with me and our viewers any resources that hey, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I really want to transform my body. There's so much information out there. There's so many nutrition apps. It's like it's overwhelming. It's books
Yeah,
after books after books. Like it just feel like you just information overload. So it's
it
like, where do I start? Where do I begin this?
um,
What resources?
I would say one of the biggest resources to look at would be getting invested in a MyFitnessPals. Granted, I've never paid for MyFitnessPals. The free version works just as great. But MyFitnessPals will definitely tell you how much you should be eating. And I think it's very important to see what you're actually eating. Actually log your food for a week or two before you actually start your journey. But I think MyFitnessPal is great. Some people like to use the Lose It app. I personally didn't get into the Lose It app because it's not as big as MyFitnessPal's. MyFitnessPal's has a way bigger food database where you can scan the food, and it's like Weight Watchers, but it's MyFitnessPal's. Some other great resources would be making sure that you are following personal trainers and fitness professionals that actually have certifications. There are a lot of people on the internet that don't have a certification in the world, and they're just going off of what somebody else said or what a coach told them while they were playing sports and things of that nature. So if you're a member of a gym, do not hesitate to reach out to the people that work in the gym so that they can help you find out what your current body fat percentage is, to find out what your starting point is. They'll take you through what's called a personal fitness test. And it's nothing to feel pressure about, but it's just basically to see where is your starting point so that we can build you up from there. I go and do that like every 90 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's free at most gyms. You do a fitness test and they just log, okay, 90 days ago, you were only holding a plank for this amount of time. Now you're holding it for this amount of time. So just to make sure that you're moving in the right direction. Some other good resources would be making sure that you're following credible websites when looking for articles and, those things. So, of course, making sure that you're going to your proper health websites, so your NIHs, anything where it's going to have good published scientific knowledge. I'm trying to think of some other great resources that I've used over the years. There's just so much out there. There's so much out there. It's just the biggest thing is making sure that you find a credible, certified fitness professional at the end of the day. And before you even sign up with that certified fitness professional, make sure that the two of you gel. Make sure that you can go to them and say, I ate a bag of gummy bears today. And, if you want your trainer to be like, oh, how dare you, go do 30 minutes on the treadmill, that may be the trainer for you. Or if you want to be able to have a trainer that says, you know what, friend, it is okay. It was just one little roadblock, not even really a roadblock because it's life. Gummy bears taste good. Let's just focus on how we can keep you moving forward after this so that you don't feel like, oh, I have to start all over. It's not always about that. Definitely make sure that you find a fitness professional where you can do a free consultation with them so you can get to know them, they can get to know you, and you can figure out if you guys are a match made in heaven.
And I can say personally, I've been working with Antonique early on when she started. And then I rejoined and got back with her as a personal trainer. And so she is wonderful. I enjoy her energy, her motivation, and she's truly an inspiring woman. For anyone who wants to, use her as a personal trainer, I absolutely endorse her and give her the highest praise. And so, Antonique, I'm all about elevating everyone on the platform, because when the tide rises, all the boats rise. And so, I want you to share with the viewers your website, or where they can reach you if they are interested in a personal trainer, and they can reach out to you. So please share.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much. So even though my website is currently under construction, I'm going through a huge rebranding. God is good. Even during a pandemic, I can rebrand. But my email address, for anyone that has inquiries about personal training, or what I call them uniquely fit services, you can email me at info@uniquelyfittraining.com. Just put in the subject line what you're looking for. I offer free consultations for all prospective clients and members, just so that you can feel comfortable with me, I can feel comfortable with you, and just to make sure that we have a general, I don't want to say a general liking, because that sounds like really weird, but just to make sure that we mesh very well. I'm also on Instagram at FitGirlNique, FitGirlNique. And I'm on Facebook, Fitness for Real with Nique. Fitness, the W / Fitness for Real.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So Fit Girl Nique, is that correct?
Yes, on Instagram.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, it's Fitness for Real, FORREAL, the W with the / Fitness for Real with Nique, on Facebook.
Oh boy, let me make sure I got this right. I'm gonna flash it up there. If it's wrong, let me know. Fitness for Real, W / Nique, NIQUE.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure I got that right. I was like, my God, what am I doing? Okay.
That's on Instagram, on Facebook. But I offer a slew of services: personal training memberships, personalized exercise plans, personalized nutrition plans, as well as I'm revamping my lifestyle program, which is called Snatched. The kids be like, "Ooh, girl, you snatched." But men can also join Snatched and be snatched as well. But we focus on the importance of movement, the importance of intuitive eating, as well as mindful eating. We debunk different food myths, different cultural myths about food, societal myths about food and body image and things of that nature. But the biggest premise of the program is to make the participants feel more empowered about themselves through nutrition, movement, as well as an increased self-esteem and body acceptance.
Okay. Antonique, you have been awesome. You have been awesome. And I wanted to put up on the screen for our viewers, your before and after screen shot, because and this is ongoing. So this is now, but who knows? You're going to be blowing us away even more months away from now. But I want to put that up again, just so those who missed it earlier on in the broadcast can see that, and just see how courageous and wonderful you are, and hardworking and diligence. And it took all of the faith, and it took healing from the inside out, and determination to transform your outside body to be reflective of what's going on in your body, inside your soul and your spirit internally. And so I salute you. I encourage you. I think you're amazing. And to do everything God will have for you. The sky is not the limit. For all of the viewers out there, well, thank you so much for tuning in. And my constant encouragement and prayer for you all, even as myself, is, beloved, I wish above all things, that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So don't let your soul go down and everything else goes up. Don't let your money increase, your body transform, you're looking good, chiseled out of stone, and your soul goes down. Don't do that. God encourages us. He wants our soul to prosper, even as our health prospers and good health. And so God wants you to be complete, lacking nothing. And so in that, I'm going to sign off tonight and leave you with those words of encouragement. Let your soul prosper and be in good health. Don't let your soul go down and everything else prosper. That's out of line. So you have been wonderful. Anthony, thank you so much again. And again, viewers, I thank you for tuning in with us. Sorry, we got a little bit of a late start, but you're here with us. And we will be back every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Please like, subscribe, share at prayertowerchurch.org /live. You can join us there, Prayer Tower Church YouTube channel, and also on Twitter, Prayer Tower CH. So that's our Twitter handle. So please join us on there. We would love to hear from you. Again, like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you again, same time, same place, 7:30 next week, Monday. Be blessed to be a blessing. I'm Natalie Shropshire, your host of the platform. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.